Correction of classwork from Tuesday. Okay, so today we're looking at the minus b formula. Your classwork was to do questions 13 and 15, and I'm going to correct those now. So question 13 was 4x squared plus 3x is equal to 5. We need this in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. As you can see, the free number is not on the left hand side as it should be, and there's no 0 on the right hand side. So I need to adjust this equation to 4x squared plus 3x, bring over the 5, which is a minus 5 is equal to 0. When we have that, we can then identify what a, b, and c are. So a is directly above or in front of the x squared, so it's 4. B is directly in front of the x, which is 3. And c is the whole free number there, which is plus 5. You should write down this in your copy, a, b, and c. A will be 4, as it's the number in front of the x squared. B will be 3, and c is minus 5. Now that we know this, we can start writing out the minus b formula. So x is equal to minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. We have the values of a, b, and c now, and we can start subbing in. So x is equal to minus, b is 3, plus or minus the square root. B is 3, so 3 to b squared minus 4 times a is 4, and c is minus 5. All over 2 times a, and a is 4. We now need to simplify this as best as we can. A lot of this you can do in your head. So minus 3 plus or minus the square root. 3 squared is 9. Now, I have a minus and a plus, that's minus, and a minus by a minus, which is plus. Okay, so the overall answer for this is plus. I have 4 by 4 by 5. You can do this on your calculator. 4 by 4 by 5 is 80. Okay, and it's all divided by 2 by 4, which is 8. Simplify again. Minus 3 plus or minus the square root of 9 and 80 is 89, all over 8. We've gone to a stage now where we can't do anything with any of the numbers until we use our calculator, but you can see that there's two different options, a plus or a minus, to give me two different factors. So it's at this stage that we split up the factors to get two factors. So x will be equal to minus 3. Take the top one, plus root 89 over 8. And the other one then obviously has to be the opposite. So minus 3 minus root 89 over 8. It's at this point you can grab your calculator, but you need to make sure the whole top line goes into brackets in each case. So you'll go bracket. Not sure if you can see that actually. So bracket minus 3 plus root 89. You have to move, at the moment, the arrow or the cursor is directly underneath the square root. It needs to be on the outside of it so we can close the bracket. So you move it to the right and close the bracket, and then divide by 8. This is leaving it in third form, but if you change the SD button, you'll get it as a decimal place. So that's 0.804. We need to correct it to two decimal places. So that is 0.4. It's either closest to 0 or 1, and it's closest to 0, so 80. Okay, so that's it. The second one, I need to change the whole sentence to minus 3 minus root 89. So I'm just going to go back up. I'm going to use the arrows to help me move. Delete the plus out of it and put in a minus. So that's exactly what I need. Press the equal sign, press the SD button, and you can see it is minus 1. Not sure if you can see that actually. Minus 1.554. And again, we need to correct this to two decimal places. So we look at the second and third number, 54, and see if it's closest to 50 or 60, and it's closest to 50. So that's minus 1.55. Okay, so that's question 13 done. Question 14, very similar. Sorry, it's not 14, it's 15. It's 3x squared plus 5x equals 3. And like in the last question, we needed an ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. So that 3 needs to move, and it's going to become 3x squared plus 5x minus 3 is equal to 0, moving it over. And again, you'll highlight what A is, what B is, and what C is. And on your copy, you'll write it down A, B, and C. A being the number in front of the x squared, which is 3, B being 5, and C being minus 3. Now that you have that, you can start subbing into the equation and maybe write down the equation every time. So that's minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And we have our a, b's and c's, so we can start subbing in. So minus is my formula, b is 5, plus or minus the square root of. b is 5 to be squared, minus 4 times a, which is 3, and c, which is minus 3, all over 2 times a, and a is 3. So x is equal to minus 5 plus or minus the square root. 5 to the squared is 25. Minus and a minus changes it to plus. 4 by 3 by 3, I think it's 36, but I'll just double check it. Yep, so plus 36 all over 6. And all I'm doing now is simplifying or adding up the numbers inside in the square root. So x equal to minus 5 plus or minus the square root of 25 and 36 is 61 all over 6. And it's at this stage we need to split up the terms, okay, to get our two factors. So minus 5 plus root 61 over 6 is 1, and minus 5 minus root 61 over 6 is the other. Once we have that now, we can start actually putting it into the calculator and getting it. So the brackets are on the whole top line. Okay. So again, bracket minus 5 plus root 61. Move it to the right hand side and then close the bracket all over 6. SD button is 0.468. And then we're going to get the other factor by changing that to a minus, which is minus 2.135. Now, as you know, we need to correct this to two decimal places. So that's 0.68 is it closest to 60 or 70? It's closest to 70, so that's 47. With the second one, that's minus 2.35 is closest to 40, so that's 14. Okay, so your answers are 0.47 and minus 2.14. Okay, we are going to do one or two more of these in class. I'm just going to highlight them as on page 355. You're going to do question 10 and 12, just to practice it a little bit more. When we move on in class today, we're going to be looking at using normal quadratics in problems, or problems leading to quadratic equations. When a problem expressed in words is changed to a mathematical sentence, it often results in a quadratic equation. To find the equation to represent a problem, where relevant, we can draw out a diagram to put in the information. So I always find that having a diagram, when you can see it clearly, you can understand the problem a little bit better and do the problem solving easier. You can use x to represent any unknown value. You look for the information in the question in the form of x and then solve the equation if you can. I'm going to do example 1 now, and you can put this into your notes copy if you wish, and if not, you can just pop it just into your normal copy. So it says the length of a rectangle exceeds its width by 6. The area of the rectangle is 160. You're asked to find the length and width. Now, this is a problem, but you take the keywords and you deal with the keywords, and when you have the keywords dealt with, then you can start doing an equation. So it says length of a rectangle. So obviously we have a rectangle, so I'm just going to draw the rectangle. So this is using a diagram to help us. So the length of the rectangle exceeds the width by 6. So the width we know nothing about. It has to be x. And the length, which is the long side, exceeds the width by 6. So it's 6 bigger than the side. So if the side is x and it has to be 6 bigger, it's x plus 6. So at this stage, we have the length and width of a rectangle in terms of x. We are told that the area of this rectangle is 160. We're asked to find its length and width. Well, the only thing that we know about the area of a rectangle is that it's the length multiplied by the width. And I know this answer to be 160 centimeters squared. Now, if I just use the numbers, and I'll form an equation. So the length of it is x plus 6. The width of it is x, and it's equal to 160. I have formed an equation. Now that I have the equation, we can just multiply it out, and then hopefully we'll get a quadratic and be able to solve the quadratic. So this is different in the sense that you're given a sentence or two sentences, and you have to come up with the equations given the words. So we're multiplying this out. X by x is x squared. X by 6 or 6 by x is 6x. And that's equal to 160. Now, we know for any quadratic, you need to have it in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. And that's what makes the quadratic. Now, you can see that this 160 is on the wrong side, so I need to move it over. So it's going to be x squared plus 6x minus 160 is equal to 0. Now, normally when you have a quadratic, the first thing you do is your big X. Now, if you start using the big X and you just can't find the factors, then you'll have to use the minus b formula. But until that stage happens, we'll go and try and figure it out. So like we normally do, we try to get the factors of the x squared, which is x and x. We try to get the factors of 160 that add to 6. Now, that can be tricky, but I know 10 goes into 160 16 times. So that's 16 by 10 makes 160. Okay, and I'm wondering, can I get the number 6 using those two numbers? And I can. When I have a minus at the end, it means one of the numbers needs to be plus, the other one needs to be minus. You always have the bigger number to have the same sign as this one. So that's plus 16 minus 10. Let's see if it works. X by 16 is 16x. X by minus 10 is minus 10x. 16 minus 10 is plus 6x. So that's correct. So I have the factors here now. One of them is x plus 16. The other one is x minus 10, and that's equal to 0. These are factors. What I want to find are the roots to get a value, which means you have two equations. X plus 16 is equal to 0 is one of them, and x minus 10 is equal to 0 is the other. Now, you know that you get letters to the left and numbers to the right, so those two numbers need to move. So the plus 16 becomes minus 16, and the minus 10 becomes plus 10. Now, we need to decide which one of these are correct. Now, I'm talking about a distance. So for a distance, you can't really have a negative distance because that there couldn't be minus 16. So you cross it out because process elimination, you can't have a negative distance. So it has to be 10. So I need to figure out what the length is and what the width is. So the length of this, anyways, going back to the start, is x plus 10. So x plus 6, and x is 10. So it's 10 plus 6 is 16 centimeters for the length. And the width of this is just x, which was 10, which is what we calculated, centimeters. So the whole point of this is when you have a problem, which is written in text, you have to change the text into an equation and then solve the equation. With distances, you can't have a negative distance, and that's why we eliminate the negative number, and that's it done. Join me live.